In it, we're live, and it's so good to be live with you guys on YouTube and Facebook here at Igniting Hope Ministries. Man, I'm with just such a special woman of God today, and Joanna, I'm so grateful that you are joining us today to just impart wisdom into us on one of the pillars. Steve Backlund has these 8 leadership pillars, and we're going to be diving into one of those pillars today. But I just want to welcome everybody on here first. If you're joining us, um, go into the go into the comments and share with us where you're joining from, your name, where you're joining from. We'd love to see who's all jumping in here with us. And so just put your name and where you're from in the comments. We'd love to see that. And then also later on, if you have any questions, well, I'll remind you again. But this is a BLA Live. BLA, if you don't know what BLA is, it's a Backlund Leadership Academy. It's been a dream of Steve and Wendy Backlund for years to have an academy just to equip leaders, raise up leaders, and specifically around just strong beliefs and hope
Mhm.
and just Joanna, I don't know about you. I do know about you, but
Mhm.
I know my life has been totally transformed
Absolutely.
by
I
this ministry.
mm, absolutely. I mean, I'm now in my second year. So this
Mhm.
last year and a half, I would say are some of the most pivotal altar building moments of my life in all areas through what
Wow.
I've been learning in this academy. And the ripple effect is 1,000 generations deep. I can't even begin to understand fully or see it. It's just been, I mean, it's changed everything.
Yeah.
Changed
I like how you said that the generations deep. I really,
everything.
I really believe what the Igniting Hope Ministries is doing and the Back
Hmm.
Leadership Academy is doing is exactly that. I see it in my kids,
Yep.
um, with their beliefs,
Hmm.
and even how my kids use their beliefs with their friends.
Hmm.
Um, it's really incredible what God is doing in this ministry and specifically for today in the Backlund Leadership Academy. And Joanna, you mentioned it. You're a second year in
Yep.
the Backlund Leadership Academy, and I got to hear you earlier just share with the team, and your voice has such an anointing for a breakthrough, but not just any kind of breakthrough, very specifically generational breakthrough,
Mm.
relational breakthrough, family breakthrough. And I'm super excited for what this call's going to be because we're going to dive into one of eight's, one of Steve, one of Steve's 8 leadership pillars.
Yep.
And the one that we're going to dive into today is on healthy relationships. And if you're just joining us live right now, put your name and where you're from into the comments, and we'd love to see who's joining us. And if you have any questions as we go in here, put them in the comments as well for
Mhm.
Joanna. But Joanna, I wanted to start off with you. As a second year student in BLA, but more than that, I mean, a mom, a wife, and so much more.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah. So I am obviously I'm a wife. I have 6 children, 4 biological, 2 adopted. My kids are mostly all grown. I have 2 that are in their middle school, 8th grade, and high school. And so we're rounding home stretch here.
Wow.
I I have about to have my 3rd grandchild, which is magical. Grandchildren are literally heaven wrapped in skin. Like I can't. I mean, just magical. My husband, we've been married for 26 and a half years.
Come on.
He was a youth pastor and then a teaching pastor, and then we did church planting. And then he went through a season where he was very, very, very sick for about 5 years. I was his caregiver. He had to
Wow.
step down in ministry. So much, so much miraculous supernatural things happened in that season.
Wow.
for another time. But he, through that, God released him from ministry, and he midlife went back to school and became a emergency room physician's assistant.
Wow.
And so, and while he was doing that, I started fulfilling my lifelong dream of becoming a health coach. So I've been in health coaching for the last 10 years, in business coaching. And it's just been an exciting ride. So we just moved to California a year and a half ago because God said so. And so we were like,
Wow.
okay, we're lifetime East Coasters. And we're out here, part because we knew there was more God wanted us to experience,
Yeah.
in part because those little heaven wrapped in skin nuggets drew us here.
See? Multiple reasons. That's
Multiple.
incredible. Yeah, just hearing your full story. I know for time's sake, we won't get to hear the full story. We'll jump into the pillar, but just like what you said, a miraculous story of God's faithfulness and goodness in your life.
Yes.
And how did you and your family get connected with Igniting Hope Ministries?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's so silly. I hadn't even heard. No, that's not true. My daughter-in-law's mother, who is Samara, she will be on here at some point. So that's Samara and Steve Keller. We are co-grannies and grandpas. She she recommended Wendy Backlund's Victorious Emotions book to me, and so I started reading it, and just everything that I read resonated and gave language to so much that I've been learning, practicing, teaching in my own health coaching. It was just powerful. And then we move out here. I don't think I'd been out here a week. And Samara's like, hey, so this Steve Backlund, people love the third year with him through BSSM. He's doing an academy, and you'll never be the same. And I was like, I want that. Okay. I didn't even know what I was signing up for. It was just this full body, my whole spirit
Wow.
left. I'm doing it. And so I had no idea what I was signing up for. Like, literally did not know
Wow.
the dream project, didn't know anything.
You just dove in.
I just dove in, and I was laughing because there's tension put on you being in this class. There's
Yeah.
tension for growth, good tension. And some days I want to throw that tension up against the wall. And I have to keep reminding myself, I paid for this tension. I paid. This is the best tension I've ever had.
It is that's amazing to hear how you guys got connected.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I didn't know the connection between Steve and Samara. So that's incredible.
Yep. Our kids are married.
What a great couple that they are as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I believe you chose a pillar of the healthy relationships to go after. Why did you choose this pillar? Or maybe if you want to answer it a different way, what does this pillar mean to you?
This pillar is one that I have had to develop and change myself and grow in order. It has required the most internal growth for me to be able to execute and live it out. It's been my story. It's been my story as learning what it means to love my husband, learning what it means to love my kids, radically and dramatically shifting in our style of parenting, our beliefs around parenting. It's how I've learning what it means to lead a team. We had a team of 1,000 coaches in our organization. Like, what it means to build big people, it starts with healthy relationships. And healthy relationships really begins with me and what I believe about God and what I believe about me and what he says about me.
Yeah, there's a few times while you were sharing there, you threw out the word belief.
Mm-hmm.
Belief in my parenting, belief in me,
Mm-hmm.
belief. How important are beliefs in how they play into healthy relationships, whether it's parenting, marriage, or the business, like you shared with us?
It's 100% the foundation for healthy beliefs. I mean, for healthy relationships. I don't think anyone could experience the fullness and the full free. It's for freedom that Christ died. Stand firm. Do not let yourself be yoked by a burden of slavery. And that the slavery that we get burdened by is false beliefs. It's believing, not believing like Jesus,
Wow.
not understanding what God says about himself and says about us. I'm sorry, my dog decided to come in and join us. It's and when we have those false beliefs, it then puts a filter over our eyes. You know, filters change the way you've seen Instagram filters,
Yeah.
and it changes the way you see a picture. It puts a filter over us through which we see everything else and how we respond to everything else that comes at us. And if I believe that God's in a bad mood, if I believe that I need to perform, if I believe God only really likes me if I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, that's the filter that I'm going to use to interact with people in my world.
Wow.
It doesn't, it's non-negotiable. That's how we will show up.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, if beliefs if beliefs what you're saying becomes our filter or our eyesight,
Hmm.
um, we tend to see things differently. I
Hmm.
know one thing that I've heard you say before is um, has to do with this vision or this eyesight
Hmm.
and your vision for other people.
Hmm.
I know as leaders, we're always like, okay, I got a vision for my life. I got a vision for my organization. I got
Hmm.
a vision, which all takes high beliefs too. But I've realized that the messiest part of leadership is relationships. That is the
Yeah.
messiest part. And so, even prophetically seeing people, but how would you describe not just having a vision for you and your organization, but like with that filter of beliefs, how have you done it for vision for the people that you lead or the people that are in your life?
It's a great question. A lot of times, I mean, I think there's two different, I've had two different modalities. One is I've actually sat down and made a decision what I am going to ask Holy Spirit, what am I going to believe about this person? How do you see this person? What is your vision for this person? What are the best things about this person? And what are the things that drive me crazy
Mhm.
about this person? Let's be honest, that Steve
Yes.
often says is the undeveloped gold that's just waiting to explode, right? It's the immature spots that are just waiting to blossom. What do you want me to believe? And me solidifying what I believe about a person will then directly impact how I speak to that person, how I respond to that person, and the influence I have about that person over that person.
Wow.
So I would say that's one, but also I've asked God to just give me pictures and visions. We have a child. I've talked about her often. Who struggles with contends with the diagnosis of mental illness, contends with reactive attachment issues, and um, sometimes can be not the easiest human to love. I mean, honestly. But the Lord in his goodness, I have asked for a vision for her, and he has just given me this beautiful vision of her just raising her hands and him pouring the oil of gladness over her, the oil of joy.
Wow.
And she's just basking in it as if a child was under a waterfall or a hose, just basking in it. And just glory all around her. I wholeheartedly believe that is her divine self. That is who she was created to be. No wonder the enemy would go after her mental health. So I
Mm,
contend for that in her.
wow.
That is what I go after for in her.
Yeah.
Not how just her mere behavior.
Wow. That's life changing. For anyone that is listening now live with us or watching the recording later, if you're watching, I mean, that's a life changing statement. Because easy just to look at, okay, this is what you're doing now, like your
Hmm.
actions right now. And I know Steve uses a declaration: I will not withdraw my heart from people who disappoint me or hurt me,
Yep.
and I feel like what you're saying is so critical to help us live in that declaration, not
Yep.
withdraw our heart from people, because
Yep.
I mean you've lived through some life,
Hmm.
so you've dealt with disappointment, you've
Yes.
dealt with, you know, can you help us navigate that, or just can you speak more into that? Like how, as leaders, whether you're a parent, um, stay-at-home mom, you own a business, or you work at a retail shop. Everyone here is a leader, everyone listening. And again, if you have questions for Joanna about healthy relationships, place them in the comments. But um, to get to a place that we don't withdraw our hearts from people that disappoint us, but then putting up these, not putting up, that's the wrong word, Joanna. Setting setting parameters and boundaries so that they don't take advantage of you. Would you be able to speak into that just a little bit?
Absolutely. I think there's multiple layers to this question. I think the number one thing that had to shift in how I approach all relationships is what my number one goal is. And this is something I learned from Danny Silk, and it shifted
Mm,
everything. But my number one goal is connection. The
mm,
Father sent his Son in order to stay in connection with his kids. He gave his only Son. That's a big deal.
yeah,
It's connection is the ultimate priority of our Father, of our good Father.
yeah.
And so leaning into that above all has been the foundation, understanding that what my goal is in all things. Without vision people perish. We need to know what we're moving towards in our relationships. And so for me, the number one goal is connection. Now, connection comes at different levels, right? Not everyone gets the same connection. If you were to
Mm,
build like the concentric circles, there are different levels, right? So
it's so
not
good.
like a random person on the street doesn't get the same connection my kids get, or even my husband gets more connection than my kids.
Yeah.
Like there are different levels. So that is an important thing to clarify. Not everyone gets that access.
Mm,
But that doesn't, just because this person out here doesn't have the same access as this person, doesn't mean the goal changes. It just looks different. It looks different.
come on.
Um, so I would say that's number one, clarifying the goal. And the goal is there because that's Father's goal. Understanding two, that doesn't mean everyone gets the same access. Then understanding three, I would say another thing that God says to us, he contends for love over fear and punishment.
Mm,
And when we're contending for connection, I have to always have in the forefront of my mind, when I am disappointed, am I reacting because I'm afraid and I
mm,
want to punish you? Or am I responding in order to still lean in for connection and
wow.
sort of still create? Those are very, very different things. And again, connection doesn't mean there's boundaries, not
Yeah.
boundaries. There are still boundaries. Like I said, with this child that we have, there are boundaries. There are very, very clear boundaries. And yet I don't let go of my side of the rope to continue contending for connection with her, continue fighting for love. She always has access to me as a mom, no matter what kind of trust has been broken. It's
Wow.
just, so that's a huge part. And I would say a small tip in there that I've learned from Ben and Brittany Serple is my role when I'm contending for connection is two things: to know that all behavior is communication.
Mm,
So I live by that rule. All behavior is communication. All behavior, communication. All behavior is communication. And when you start looking around you and seeing behavior as communication, it shifts the offense.
wow.
It shifts the offense, because what are you trying to communicate to me that you haven't learned how to verbalize yet?
Wow.
And then I would also say I have a role. One of my other roles is I want to listen better than you're communicating.
Oh, come on now.
So those have been things that have shifted everything. And when I say we were on a trajectory to live and disconnect with our kids, it is by the grace of God that he allowed us to raise this one child who is having some issues, because the gift of her is we've had to completely shift how we believe
Mm,
relationships function, what our goal is. We moved from fear and punishment to love and connection. And
wow.
that shifted everything. That's what allowed me to build the business that I had. That's what has allowed me to have flourishing relationships with my kids and people that I used to always have brokenness. There always seemed to be disappointment and disconnect. There was a pattern over and over and over. at some point I had to take a pause and go, what's the common denominator here? And it was me always withdrawing because of disappointment.
Oh my goodness. That is, that's right there is worth just the whole life. Uh, that just that just sets people free.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one, I mean, you said it a couple times. Um, you know, about what we think of ourselves, what we believe of ourselves. You said that
Mm-hmm.
again now, again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then what I believe about the people in my life.
Yep.
But I love how you answered that question that I'm not withdrawing my heart from people because I'm still building that relationship. They just don't have the same type of access.
Yep.
Because that would just be weird if everyone
Yep.
had the same access as your husband. That would just
Mm-hmm.
be a weird relation,
Weird.
very weird, right? But it doesn't mean you've pushed them away. It doesn't mean anything. It almost I thought of this phrase, and I've heard this phrase before, I think from Danny Silk, also from Steve. But with everybody in your life, you're defining that relationship. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who are you to me?
Yep.
And then the other person's got to kind of figure that out too. Like,
Yep.
who am I to you? Okay, I'm your mom. I'm not your wife. I'm not your,
Yep.
I'm your mom. And yeah, that's just so powerful. What would be man, this just sparked another question I had here. Let me look for it. Uh as we talk about healthy relationships and the disappointment that comes in relationships, because that will just come.
Mm-hmm.
We both know that.
Mm-hmm.
But how we deal with that is powerful. And two things I want to jump on here. But looking back in some unhealthy relationships, what would you say are some like, good information that comes our way, early signs that the relationship might be drifting to maybe unhealthy?
I would say some signs would be I pay attention, things I've paid attention to in the past is passive aggressiveness, making little comments that are biting because someone doesn't know how to say, I feel sad, I feel hurt, I
Yeah.
feel angry. I would say things where there is not in good relationships, we rejoice with those who rejoice, we mourn with those who mourn. We're able to come into a space where there is a movement and I'm able to be vulnerable. I'm able to actually reveal myself without fear. If I am afraid to reveal something to you,
Mm,
there's a check there. There's a check for me and there's a check for what I believe about you that I need to pay attention to. Those are symptoms. Those are just signs. I One of the most powerful things I had to learn in healthy communication when there's been struggles is what it means to have courageous communication. And that means revealing myself with undeniable truth. What does that mean?
mm,
What I feel is undeniable. You can't, no one can tell me how I feel but me. And so me revealing to you, Jason, like let's say you did something that upset me. Me saying I felt sad yesterday when was said. This is how I interpreted it. Would you give me clarity on that? Because my heart broke.
mm.
It's very different than me coming at you and saying, I feel like you were trying to hurt me when you said that. And I need to make it very clear. If ever you put the word like after feel, you are no longer revealing your feelings.
Come on.
You are revealing what you want, how you want to attack someone, and what you believed about someone else. And so brave communication requires us being willing to reveal ourselves and how we feel and how I interpreted what you said, and giving you space to give clarity, giving you space to lean back in with me.
Yeah.
I would say the number one pillar of healthy relationship and a sign that it's unhealthy is I am afraid, or you are afraid, or we are unwilling to enter into brave communication and
Wow.
revealing.
Wow. That's that's incredible. You mentioned fear a couple times throughout this last 20 minutes, as we've been talking about healthy relationships. And I just couldn't help but capture that word has been brought into it,
Mhm.
and how fear is such a uh, incredible hindrance for building healthy relationships.
Hmm.
I think you said you brought it up a little bit, but like fear, if there is fear, that means control is coming. I mean,
Control is coming.
yeah, because people who are afraid need something to be in control. And
100%.
yeah, and so I think that it's just such freeing. I'm hearing right now that people listening to this call are being broken. Fear is being demolished off your life over relationships, over past relationships that have hurt you or disappointed you. Fear is being broken, and that fear being broken is allowing you to step into this other realm of developing healthy relationships. That's
Yes.
so good. Do you want to add anything to that? I know you've said a little bit about that, but just want to give you another opportunity.
I think fear also, a lot of times, I think it's so good. And I think fear, and we have to also realize, has a lot to do, again, we come back to that filter. What I believe about me,
Yeah, come on.
what I believe about God, and what I believe about the other person. I can give a quick example here, just a minor thing about beliefs um, and filters. Someone walked into a building a couple years ago, and the way they looked at me, I immediately thought they were angry or they didn't like me. They didn't like me. That person didn't like me. And this was before I'd really done work with myself. And I took what they said and made a story about it. This is such an important thing.
Come on.
I cannot, you need to I think we need to understand our brains always want to complete a story. Always want to complete a story. And we look for things based on what we believe, and then we try to fill in the gaps. And I cannot tell you that the amount of times I have tried to fill in a gap. I've looked at the way a person has looked at me and made a story based around the lie that I'm unlovable. Everything went around the lie, I'm unlovable. And
Wow.
I had to shift everything in me and who I am and who God says I am. So when someone made a look at me, I didn't automatically go, they don't like me, they're angry, but more like, oh, I wonder what's going on in their day. Isn't that curious? Being curious and wondering versus creating a story and an identity. Those are so important. So, so, so important.
And that is so good. I just reading some of the comments as you're talking, and Pierre Lucas, I just bless you with that fear being broken off your life and relationships and unbrave communication. You are a powerful warrior for the kingdom, and you're gonna see something crazy happen in this next couple weeks in your life. Joanna, just one more question before we end this live, and
Mhm.
for those live with us or watching in the recording later, if someone's listening wanting to start building healthy relationships today, is like, okay, this is all great. I want this. I want healthy relationships in every area of my life. What would you say one simple habit or shift they could make to have them start focusing on first to building healthy relationships in their life?
One habit that I did to start shifting, the habit I think it comes back to understanding my goal in relationships. So I declaring daily, my goal in my relationships is connection, because that is the Father's goal for me, is to connect with him. And then making declarations about who I am. I am loved. I am whole. I am likable. I am worthy. Understanding who God says he is, what he says about me, and then understanding the goal of relationship is connection, declaring that, speaking that, repeating that, putting it in front of me. My goal is connection.
Wow.
Then it shifts everything else. Every time someone disappoints you, you get to put it behind the filter of, what do I need to do to hold up my end of connection here?
Yeah.
Does it require brave communication? Does it require me just letting it go and forgiving? Does
Yeah.
it require does it require me actually creating a boundary?
Wow.
I mean, sometimes that is.
Yeah.
So it's understanding the goal of relationships. And I don't know, do we have time for me just to release something that I would love to?
Would
Part
love
of
you
what,
to.
do I have time?
You do have time. Yes, would love to for you to release.
I you know I I believe there's some people on this call that have struggled in relationships. There's been hurts, there's been wounds. You've had that person like I have it in my life. That's the unlovable. It's hard to love. And I've been studying Hosea, and what a beautiful picture Hosea is of the Father's love for us. And for those that are really contending to bring connection back and contending to lean into loving the unlovable, I want to release over you the Hosea anointing. And that is the blessing of supernatural love. I
Yes.
bless you to love with God's eyes, not the weight of human expectation. I want to bless you with the ability to see your children, to see your spouse, to see your siblings, your parents, your interpersonal relationships the way God sees them, with compassion, with mercy, and with fierce hope. I am declaring that you are stepping into a love that is radical. It's wise, forgiving, and it's wise and forgiving, but it's also discerning. And I want to make sure you understand that radical love does not mean there's not discernment. It's a
Yes.
love that does not confuse forgiveness with trust. They're two separate things. And knows how to set holy boundaries while still keeping a tender heart. That's what I'm blessing you with. I'm blessing you with strength to love beyond exhaustion, beyond frustration, and beyond fear. I bless you with the supernatural capacity to carry God's heart for your family, for the people that you are called to lead, for the people in your life, a heart that pursues, restores, and believes the best, even when circumstances try to speak otherwise. I declare that bitterness breaks off of you. In Jesus' name, shame breaks off of you, guilt breaks off of you. You are rising with clear eyes, a soft heart, and a spirit empowered by heaven. That is what I want you to receive today, to receive the Hosea blessing, supernatural love, supernatural compassion, supernatural wisdom, a love that restores, a love that heals, a love that connects and anchors you to Father's heart.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Joanna, for just releasing that over our life and for just blessing us with your time today. And as we just go after everyone together, healthy relationships. Life.
Amen.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us. This has just been rich. I mean, just going to sit in this for a long time. So, thank you everybody for joining us, and we can't wait to see you next time.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Joanna.
My